Welcome everyone again. My name is Lena, and today we're going to be talking about automation landscape. We're going to talk about what's possible to automate today and different kind of tools. I'm really happy to see you all here. My name is Lena. I'm a founder of Parse Labs and Chatbotly, and I'm an AI advisor. I've been working in this space since 2018, and I helped more than 100 teams to adopt AI automation. And I'm also a public speaker on this topic. I'm sharing a lot on YouTube, Substack, and also giving free open lectures like this one. And I help other businesses to automate their workflows, but I'm also a founder and I also automate my own business processes. So this is going to be a mix of the work that I'm doing for other companies and also some things that I apply for my own business processes. And today we're going to talk about AI automation landscape. We're going to cover different AI automation tools real quick. And the main focus for today is going to be AI automation examples and use cases. And I'm going to share some of the ones that I personally use and also a lot of examples from other creators. So it's going to be a nice mix of everything. And it's going to be a 45-minute session. And in the end, we're going to have some time for Q&A. So drop any questions that you have in the chat, and we're going to look at them after I finish talking. And just to set some expectations, this is going to be an overview of different AI automation tools and use cases, just to show you what is possible, what currently people are doing. And I invite you to reflect on your own processes as I'm sharing different automation examples and see how do they fit your own automation, your own business workflows. Like I said, put your questions in the chat, and if you like any question that another person dropped, you can upvote them using emojis, so we see that this is an interesting question and we make sure we answer it in the very end. Also, you're welcome to take screenshots of any slides that I have, but we also gonna share the recording with you afterwards, so you don't have to worry in case you missed anything. So let's get started. We start with a short definition of automation. So automation is when we are using technology to turn repeatable tasks into self-running processes. And I see automation divided into two types. You can either use pre-built automation or workflows. For example, maybe some of you are already using meeting recording software. I've seen that some meeting recorders were trying to join our Zoom meeting. So this is a great example of automation as another company set up for you for a specific task, or cold outreach software that already automates a very specific problem within a sales domain, or email automations. So you can either do that, you can either use pre-built automations, or you can build your own custom workflows using AI automation tools that we're gonna be focusing on today. The AI automation tools, there are plenty of them. I'm just going to name a few most famous ones real quick. So there is make.com. Maybe some of you are familiar with this one. There is Zapier, where you can also build a lot of different complex automations and connect things like Gmail, spreadsheets, forums, and things like that. There is n8n, which is my personal favorite, and we're going to see a lot of examples from n8n automations today. However, all the examples that I'm sharing with you today, they are just ideas and they can be implemented using any of those automation tools. And there are plenty of automation tools available this day. There's PipeDream, MindStudio, Relevance, Relay App, and there are many, many, many more. We are not going to cover all of them today, but just for you, so you know what is possible. The main focus of today's lightning lesson would be AI automation use cases. And why is that? I work a lot with people who want to automate something, and there are two questions that I hear the most. One is, what is in general possible to automate today? So we're going to be focusing on this one. And what should I personally be automating? And this is an interesting one because you should not automate everything, I believe. So you need a conscious approach to automation. As for automation use cases, there are plenty, and we're gonna cover all of them today with more examples. For example, you can be automating your emails or calendar, or how you watch YouTube, or you can create automations for content or sales, which is also one very popular one. We're going to cover them in the slides today, and I invite you to look into all the automations that I'm going to be sharing today with the mindset of, okay, what kind of problem are they solving, and should I be automating this for my own business processes? So I suggest that we try to think of how can we automate with purpose. So not automating just because we can, but automating only what really should be automated. So let's just dive into it, and we will start with the email management automation use case. Why is that? Well, I don't know about you, but I have, I think, 4 different email inboxes, and my emails are always overcrowded. I get too many emails, I miss them, I forget to reply, and I'm slow to reply. And this is a great reason for doing automation. I will show you a small automation that I personally use. Mine looks like this. So I am using automation to automatically add labels to my Gmail whenever I'm getting emails, because the standard Gmail automation isn't perfect enough, and I wanted to make it my own. And then to solve the problem of me missing emails and being not on time to answer messages, I also send myself Telegram notifications every time either a client messages me or there is a new speaking opportunity and I want to make sure that I'm quick to reply. So if we look at an example of how that is being automated in n8n, and if those diagrams look scary to you, I hope that I will explain it in such a way that you start to understand this a little bit better. So the way my automation works is every time there is an email trigger, so I get a new email, I have an OpenAI block that is classifying my emails into one of the following categories. So I have either just general updates and newsletters, and then I just add a label. Then I have client messages, and this is when I want to send myself a notification immediately. And then I have invoices, messages from account, cold outreach messages, and speaking opportunities. So this one is pretty simple. And I think useful automations don't have to be complex. There is an improvement on this automation from n8n. What he's doing, he also has this Telegram bot that sends him updates on all the Gmail messages that he's getting. So for example, here, he got an urgent message and there is a summary. But he took it a step further, and he also auto-replies, drafts emails, and things like that. So let's have a look at what he did a bit differently. So again, Gmail trigger, he classifies into 4 categories. One, if it's high priority, then he is creating a draft, which he can immediately see in his Gmail, and he gets an alert in Telegram. Then if it's a customer support email, then he's auto-replying automatically to the email. Then if it's promotion, then he just gets a summary. And if it's anything related to finance or billing, then he gets a summary for his finance department and sends the email to them immediately and gets a confirmation. And I think this is a great simple use case that you can do. Another one is calendar management. And why is that? If you think about creating calendar events, maybe it doesn't sound too difficult, but actually it's a multi-step process that requires too many steps to create an event in calendar. You have to add a title, select a date, add guests, then add the Zoom link, and you first open Zoom, copy the Zoom link, add it to your calendar, and then you need to add a description. So it's a multi-step process. And it's a good opportunity for automation. So a good example of calendar management is by AI Foundation's YouTube channel. So here again, they have this Telegram chatbot where you can either send a text message, for example, create an event for tomorrow at 5:30, and then it's going to be creating an event and doing all these multi-steps that I just described. Or you can also send a voice message and also create an event. The way it works is literally you first transcribe, and then you have this orchestration agent that is connected to Zoom, so it can get Zoom links, it can send emails, for example, email notifications to all the people who you create this calendar event with, and it manages your calendar. And this is what I want you to notice here is that we are not automating here a very small step. For example, I see some automations like show me all my calendar events. And this is actually not worth automating because you can do that yourself just in one click on Google Calendar. But here, because there are many steps, it's a good candidate. Next use case is knowledge management. What do I mean by that? So my problem is lack of discipline. I don't know if you also have that, but my inbox from my head is a little bit of a mess. I'm sending myself a lot of random texts and notes on Telegram, Apple Notes. I'm sending myself to-dos, links, and things like that, and they are scattered around weird places, and then I can never make use of them. So the automation that I have for myself and I actually use daily is this Telegram bot where I'm sending myself different links and different ideas that I have throughout the week, and then it automatically puts them into the correct Notion table, which I can then look through. So for example, if I have some idea for a YouTube video or a LinkedIn, I just talk with the voice to my Telegram bot and then it puts it into the calendar with all my ideas, and then I have ideas for LinkedIn. So how does it work? Again, just the transcription of my voice, then I'm classifying into different categories. So for example, is it a URL? Then I crawl the website and I put it as a URL to a Notion table. Or is this maybe a book that I want to read, or LinkedIn idea, or a YouTube idea? So it automatically categorizes it and puts it into the correct Notion table and then sends me a confirmation on Telegram. And why does it work? Well, this automation makes it hard for me to be disorganized, and I think this is a great opportunity for automation. Let's take it a step further. So now we are capturing the knowledge. We can also do knowledge search. This is actually very popular these days. Basically, it's just a chatbot, a question answering agent, which is trained on your data, and it can answer questions based on your data. So here's an example from Leon. It is actually really simple. It just reads a question and answers the question based on your data. And this is a great block that can be integrated in different parts of your automation. Maybe we can look at it in some of the following examples that I have. And why is it good? It's the opportunity type of automation. So instead of automating an existing process, it creates an opportunity to get more of, in this case, your data. Now let's move to calls. I don't know about you, but I have a lot of calls, and don't ask me how, but this Monday I had 9 calls, and the problem is that it's just too many calls and too little time to prepare for those calls. And a great automation would be to help me to prepare for those calls because there is no time in between. An example that I really like is there's a trigger which checks which call do I have coming up. Then AI is extracting information about the people in the call. And we are also doing a search. So we take the contact information from the person whom I'm having a call with. Let's say it's a sales call with a prospect. Then we find information on their LinkedIn. We get information from their website. We scrap their personal LinkedIn and company LinkedIn. We find any emails that we had with this person. And then we create a brief that we put in the CRM, which I can have a look at before the sales call. I think it's a really great opportunity. Now, okay, so this is before the call. Let's say I already had a call. So what can we do with call transcripts? Again, the problem is the same, that meeting notes would be very nice to have, but it takes ages to write those next step summaries, and we are not doing that. A good example is here from Roberto. We get a transcript called transcript from our Google Drive, and then we have this automation that automatically, using AI, extracts any to-dos that we had in this transcript. It extracts tasks, next actions, and puts them into client Notion CRM and the Airtable. So then after all our sales meetings, we have this nicely organized and we know for each client where are we currently. Another example of, again, sales automation on call transcripts looks like this. Again, we are getting transcripts, and then we are, instead of creating new clients in our Airtable or Notion, we are actually updating the client CRM. So this can be an ongoing automation. Is you have more calls with your clients, you can keep updating your CRM automatically every time after the call finishes. And I think this is also a great use case because here, and I think it's important, you are automating something that you are already doing manually anyway. And those are usually the best opportunities for automation. So I do have to write those follow-up emails anyway. I do have to go to my Notion or any other CRM that I'm using and then keep it all clean. This is why this is a great automation use case. Now let's move to something completely different. Let's look into content creation. And there are many ideas in the content creation space. This one is a bit different because we are not automating something that already works. It's not really a process, it's a meta process. It's a way to automate how we think about content creation. And the reason for this automation, one of the reasons, is maybe that we want to run content experiments at scale. And this is again what automations are great for testing hypotheses and for experimenting. Let's have a few examples. Here's one from n8n. And if you don't know him, he's doing a lot of cool YouTube tutorials. You'll see a lot of examples from him in my videos. I highly recommend you if you're just getting to know this automation space. So automating newsletters is one idea. Let's say you have a form where you submit a topic, the tone of voice, and the target audience for which you want to run these newsletters. Then you're going to have an automation that researches internet on this topic, and then it will automatically write an actual newsletter and send you a Gmail. Let's have a look. Here we submit the form, so we get topic, tone, and audience. Then we have the AI project planner, which plans what kind of research needs to be executed. Then we have this block, which uses Tabuli to do research on the topic. And then it puts it together into a newsletter, and it writes a title for the newsletter, and it sends an email. So that's a pretty simple one. And you can be using it either if you want to automate newsletter for your followers, or maybe you want to be getting updates on a certain topic regularly, then it can be a personal facing automation. Next examples. We can also automate creating shorts, for example, using this tool in n8n, connecting to Creatomate, you can create shorts. So this is actually a moving animation. And then you can run campaigns with this and see how that goes. The way it works is, again, we have a trigger which grabs ideas from your Google Excel spreadsheet. Then we have an image prompt generator, which creates an image prompt. Then we are using a tool to generate images. And then from the image, we are generating videos. And then we are generating audio for the video using Flash 2.0 from Google. We upload it to Google Drive, we are rendering it, and then we are putting it immediately to YouTube, and then also sending notification on Gmail, maybe to our subscribers of the newsletter that, hey, we have a new video coming up. Another use case, as we are already talking about YouTube, is content repurposing. What you can do here is imagine you have a lot of YouTube links. For example, in my case, it can be links from my podcast recording. I give a lot of talks at conferences and things like that. So I can put all of them into this spreadsheet, and I can automatically transcribe them and generate LinkedIn posts based on the talks that I've given. Let's have a look at the n8n. So again, we have here the video URLs in the Google spreadsheet. Then we are getting the transcript. We are using OpenAI model to create a post for LinkedIn. And then we are sending the email with this LinkedIn post. A spin-off of this idea is, again, content repurposing, but then doing it cross-platform. So for LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and whatnot. So let's have a look. Here we have in this case, not YouTube links, but blog posts. It can maybe be your blog post if you want, or you can have a curated links from creators that you like. And then you can be generating a LinkedIn post from this, or maybe a Medium post, or anything else. So let's have a look. Again, we have URLs, then we are making all the different types of posts, and then we can link this to LinkedIn, Medium, Facebook, X, Slack, and Gmail. So this one is pretty straightforward. And what I want you to pay attention here is that in these examples, we are automating meta processes, like I already mentioned. So we are not doing a simple automation as with calendar that you need to put a title, connect it to Zoom, and add participants. Here we are trying to think about how to teach AI to think as a content creator. So this is a more complex type of automation because it requires you to think, okay, what makes good content good? Because anyone can write this kind of automation, but whether it will be a good post or not is a different kind of question. So something to be aware of. Now, let's move to the sales domain and think about cold outreach examples. Here is my automation actually for a freelance platform called Upwork. This is one of the ways that our agency is getting leads. And this is a freelance platform where people are posting a lot of different projects that they need help with. And there are tons of it. And it's really important that you are really quick to reply. So the automation that I'm using to help me write it and monitor it is sending me Telegram notifications based on my filters for the projects that are relevant to my expertise. And it sends me the name, the link to the job so that I can review it, and the message that I can review. And if I like it, I can tweak it and send it manually to people. And here, what's interesting is that it is aware of my past expertise when it's drafting this message. It also knows what I don't have experience with. For example, here we say on LMS side, I haven't worked with Moodle specifically, which is true. And it also knows my style of outreach, so it knows that I really like to ask questions at the end of every message. Let's have a look at how it's implemented in n8n. We here are finding relevant Upwork jobs based on filters. Then we are getting all the job info from the Upwork. Then we have this OpenAI module, which is pre-qualifying if this job is interesting for you. So I have a set of requirements of, okay, I'm interested in jobs that require these skills and have this kind of budget or are in this kind of domain. So it has this check. And if it does pass the check, then only it is writing the relevant intro message that has as a context information about all the past projects that I ever worked on, the outreach style that I like, things like that. And then it sends me notification on Telegram. Now let's have a look at sales examples from other creators. This one is lead generation for finding leads first, and it combines Clutch for finding companies, Epify to enriching the leads data, and then storing it all in the Airtable. So here you can see that the end output of this automation is this first name, last name, and then email address, title, company name, industry, and you can add other columns based on your needs. And the way it works is we are getting leads from Clutch based on our filters. Then we can find LinkedIn pages of all the companies. We can get information about company URL, industry location. Then we can find also on LinkedIn employees of this company. We can remove the duplicates. We can find emails for all of those employees. And then we can save those leads in our Airtable and decide what to do with this afterwards. The next step after we collected all those leads would be reaching out. So here's an automation how you can reach out via email. So again, input is just a Google spreadsheet with name, surname, email, and LinkedIn, and output is the email that's already sent. It's actually rather straightforward, and it's exactly as I just explained. So Google spreadsheet, then drafting an email, and then sending the email. And I think here the most interesting part would be actually thinking about different strategies of how you draft this email, your tone of voice. So it's a lot of work with prompt engineering, if you are familiar with this. And now let's have a look at the example of lead generation all in one. So here we have two steps. One is this table that gets all the company data enriched, and then you can automatically set up sequences of automation in a tool called Instantly. So instead of sending the email, you send this OpenAI generated draft into Instantly, and then the automation is triggered starting from there. Let's look at it step by step. What do we have here? We have a form submission where you can input what kind of leads are you looking for. Then you can search for those leads in Apollo using Apify. Afterwards, you can research all those leads using Tavily in Google, so you can find information about where they are located, which industry they work in, how many employees they have, and things like that. And then you draft the outreach message and send it later to Instantly. And these types of automations, I think they are again great for testing experiments at scale. So you can think of automation as, okay, am I automating existing workflow or am I optimizing something new? So this is an example of optimizing something new. Maybe you have your sales process already established and now you want to try different sales approaches at scale. And with automation, you can run all of those experiments and see what converts better. Now let's go to a completely different example. So research. The problem with the research is that we don't have enough time and attention to do proper research, and proper research means going through a lot of data. So what can we do here? One example of research is competitor research. This is a rather simple example. Here you would initially have just the competitor name and the website URL, and then after the automation, you will get information about this company, about the things that you are interested in. So we get competitor names, then we are sending them to Perplexity and Tavily to get more information about our competitors. Afterwards, we are creating the report and save it to Google Sheets. One more example is a research assistant, which can do research on your topic and then store everything in a PDF. And it's basically similar to ChatGPT, deep research, or other deep research if you ever tried it. And it can also create references so you can look further and deeper into your research topic. So how does it look like? We are triggering a research using O3 model from OpenAI. Then we are adding citations and storing them in Airtable. And afterwards, we are creating a PDF with all this information. And here there are a lot of opportunities to play around with it. So if you are unhappy with the standard deep research that current providers are offering, here you can combine all of them and make a super research assistant that's going to be providing you with the research that you can later act on. And as the last example in this series, I have multi-purpose personal agents. What do I mean with this? Well, basically, it's an agent that can be doing everything for you, which you find important. So in this example, we are again using Telegram to transcribe voice or send messages. And then we can do many things actually. We can maybe create Notion pages, so talk to our assistant and say, create a new Notion page, or create a new contact in the Airtable, or tell me the email of this contact, or create task in the Airtable. And then you can also ask this assistant to draft emails or update calendar or search on Hacker News or search on Google using SERP API. And then it will send you a message or even transcribe it and read it out loud to you. So here you can basically put together everything that we discussed today and use it as your our main agent that will be performing all the tasks for you. If you want to know about more use cases, I have created this tutorial library. Maybe some of you found me through this actually. So here is the link and I'll send it to you afterwards as well. There are 60 different examples on the different use cases, so you can dive deeper into it. And I just wanted to summarize the use cases and when do we automate. We automate when we have a standard process with multiple steps. Like I explained, calendar invites, I think, is a great example of automation because it has multiple steps, at least 6, and you need to do them in a particular order. And sometimes you make mistakes, which makes it a great opportunity for automation because then you reduce mistakes and you save yourself some time. Or preparing meeting summaries, also very specific. The meeting ended, you need to go through your notes, clean it up, and return it in a specific format. So following a standard process. Another reason to automate is when we never get the time to do the task. So sending the helpful meeting notes before you have the meeting is an example of this automation task. Another one which I really like is when we are disorganized to do things properly. I think automation can be real help for us when things just run smoothly without us having to use any brain power for this. Like in the example of my Telegram messy notes, which I just sent, and then they are magically already in a beautiful way organized in my Notion table. And the last one is when we want to run experiments at scale. So for example, when we want to run content automation experiments or cold outreach experiments, and we have standard process that we've been using before, but now we want to try a few more hypotheses and see what works. Then automation can really help us scale this. What I want you to take away from here, though, is that everything that I showed you today are just templates, and templates is not the same as working automations. And that's because automation is actually very personal. So the use cases that I showed today might be working for me and for my way of working or for the way of working of people who share those templates, but you might have a different process, and taking the template and just applying it to how you work might not actually work. So for automations to be helpful, they need to build around how you actually work. So today we looked at different examples for inspiration of what's technically possible, what kind of use cases exist. But the next steps for you, I advise, is to analyze your own processes, to think about, okay, what do I do repeatedly day from day? Do I have to send emails? Okay, do I have a process for sending those emails? Can I think of any process that is step by step that I have to do every day manually? Think about how you work and map your processes. And from that, the idea for the automation will get born. And good automation is not a complex automation, but the one that fits into your way of working. So I showed you different examples, and some of them are simpler, some of them are more complex. And it actually doesn't matter if it's complex or simple. If you're using it every day, that's all that works. And you don't have to automate everything. If you find one small thing which you're doing every few hours and you automate just that, that might save you more time than if you build a very complex automation that maybe only saves you 1 hour per month. So first, always audit how you work before automating anything. And if you want to master the art of automation, this is what I recommend you do. You first learn what's possible, so what we just did today. Then you audit your tasks and decide what you need to delegate and what you need to automate. Then you map your existing process and workflow. So you really sit down and you think, okay, I first do this, then I do that. And only afterwards you automate. And if you want to dive deeper into this topic, I'm also organizing a course on AI automation for business leaders and operation managers. It's a 4 week course which is aimed to help you kick off your first AI-powered automation initiative in your organization. So if this does sound interesting, then especially for people who are at this webinar today, we are offering $100 discount code, which is available for 48 hours. So have a look at the program, and you will now get a link in the chat to see this if this is interesting. And thank you everyone for joining. If you have any questions about the automation, then feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. And I'm going to send you the link to the library if you want to explore the automation use case on your own and try some of the templates from other creators. And yeah, wishing everyone a good day or morning or evening, wherever you are watching from. Thank you so much for joining and have a nice day, everyone.